Hello YouTube. So here I am underneath my Jeep Grand Cherokee WK, and I'm trying to replace the bushes in the front transmission, which are absolutely wrecked, and I think it's a common fault on all of these Jeeps. This front axle is just clanking about, knocking around. Every time I go in forward or reverse I get a clunk. If I go on the power I get a clunk. And actually if you just grab hold of the prop shaft and give it a wiggle, this whole thing is moving up and down really easily. So the culprit is actually the top bearing there. The top bush, I should say. Let's go in and have a closer look. And this is what I'm going to be replacing. There you go, you can see that. It's just absolutely ripped. Yeah, that's no good at all. It's got to come out. Just wrecked, isn't it? So, all the videos I've seen on this online show people actually removing this this axle completely. And I'm going to try and do this with it on the car and hopefully show you the method. So as you can see, I've already got quite far with this. I've disconnected the drive shaft. That's the first thing you've got to do. Lots of videos explaining how to do that. I've then undone the bolts through here, and also the front mounting has come off. And I've done this. I'll come out a little bit to show you. Just using a couple of axle stands, reasonable sized jack on some blocks of wood, and very carefully just sort of jacking that down a little bit onto the stands, rotating it, jacking it down a bit further. Just keep dropping the stands as you go, and then suddenly it just kind of moves around. You can rotate it and get it to a position where you've now got access to that top bush, which is the difficult one to reach. And I think the reason why most people just take this whole thing off. But that means splitting down the suspension, and it's much more of a job, I think. Anyway, now I'm going to have a go at removing these bushes, and I'm going to show you the kit I've bought to help me with this. Have a look. So here we are. This is the bearing and bush removal set, which I've just bought on eBay. It seems quite good quality actually. You get this set of these cups, if you like, these sleeves, and you just choose the ones which fit the bearing, the bush, got to stop saying bearing, on that side, and then one that allows it to slide inside there, and this just pulls one into the other, and means you don't have to mess around with air chisels or all that sort of thing. So hopefully this will just nicely and gently pull out this bush. So I'm going to have a go at this now, and I'll say I'd recommend to buy one of these, but let's give it a try and I'll let you know. Okay. Hello YouTube. You might recognize this. This is the underside of a Jeep Grand Cherokee WK, and there you see I'm doing the front axle, and actually it's all just suspended, jacked down on a jack and a couple of axle stands it's sort of been resting on there. But you can rotate this thing all the way down. You don't need to take the wheels off or anything. Rotate it down, and the hardest thing is getting this thing out. I've pretty much wrecked my extraction tool trying to get this thing out, but what I've realised is cut with a hacksaw, just put a hacksaw through it and cut a couple of slots, and then just get your screwdriver on the back and pry out a little bit of it, and then this is just coming out dead easy. Look at that. Just do it with a screwdriver. Look, no need to get air tools on it or anything. That's just coming out really easy. Just give it a little wiggle out. Nicely rusted in there. I might just be able to pull that out with a pair of pliers. Let's give it a go. There we go, look, just wiggling that out, and it's out. Well, I'm struggling to get this new bush in the top mounting, so I'm going to cheat, and using my hacksaw I've just cut a very fine blade line through the bush. I know you can all be wincing at this, but I think this is my only shot of getting this in today, getting it in straight. So that should just press in really easily now, because it's got a bit of give in that housing. I mean, it's not going to move, right? Let's hope not anyway. So I'm going to give it a go. I think this should push in really easily now. Okay, Hello there. So here I am underneath my Jeep Grand Cherokee WK, and this one has got the same problem I think every Jeep has got, which is the top mounting on the front axle is completely ripped to shreds and I'm replacing it. So what I want to show you is that I can do this without actually taking the wheels off. Wheels are still on the car, just on ramps. I've got the front axle there sort of hanging down. It will rotate nicely to do this job. If you just take the drive shaft off, not the drive shaft, the prop shaft, split that out and you can rotate that down. Getting out that bush is really difficult. What I did in the end was to use a hacksaw through it and actually chop out a couple of grooves, split the metal out easily, and then you know what? It just pulled out with a pair of pliers. Really easy. Now I'm trying to put it back in. This is hard. Now as you see, I've got this pretty good kit here, this bush press removal kit. And just trying to get this back in with that kit was almost impossible. I've actually bent the bar here. So what I've done is a bit of a cheat. I've cut a slot into that bush. It's still pretty tight anyway, right? But I've cut a slot into it on the top face, and to give it just some room to flex. Actually, I know it's not how you're supposed to do these, but I haven't got a hydraulic press. I don't want to take the axle off the car. And so I'm going to slot that in. I don't think it's going to move. It's not the way a shop would do it, but hey, I'm doing this myself and it's got to be done today. So that's it. So you'll see here, this is now going in quite easily. I'm going to just take a little video of me doing this and you'll see that bush very nicely, just ever so gently pushing in to the housing. You see there, if I just hold the phone there like that. It's going nicely now. Got a little bit of lithium grease in there just to help it on its way. It's still pretty tight considering there's a groove in it. And that's sort of half-mil slot all the way across. Use the finest hacksaw blade I could find to do that, so you're not losing too much metal. But I don't think that's going to pop out or slip out. It's pretty tight going in, so I'm hoping that that's going to push home nicely and isn't going to rattle or work its way out in the future. But I would really recommend, guys, if you're going to do this job, buy yourself one of these kits. Makes the life a lot easier putting these back in. You can actually do this on the car. There's enough room to work there. I'm going to do this one and the other one on the other side, which is actually slightly less room once you've got the transmission into this position. But you can see there how nicely that's pushing in with not a great deal of effort, to be honest, he says. And hopefully this is going to transform this vehicle from something that knocks and bangs like crazy every time you put your foot on the gas to a nice smooth ride. And yeah, I don't know if you can see on the top of that there. If I can't really see, it's on the top there, but down here, can you see? Oops. Can you see there? There's a slight. Yeah, you can't see it, but I've put a cut in that bush just to help it get in, because you know I don't have 6 hours to spend doing this. It's got to be done today, so let's give it a go. Okay, me again. So once you cut this little slot out of the bush casing, then this comes off pretty easy actually. I could see it. Look at that. You can just prise it out. What could be easier? Huh? Just springs out. Look at that. Easy. Oh, see, I've gone a little bit too far and cut into the housing bit there, yeah, but who's going to know? Who's going to know about that? So that's it. Just going to give that a good clean up with some emery cloth, get it nice and smooth, and press in the new one. And for the new one, to be honest, they don't go in that easy. So I'm going to do same thing. I'm going to cut a very thin slot in the top of the bush, and that way it's going to go in so much more easy. These things aren't moving once they're in, even if you cut a slot in. There's no way I could press these in here without having a hydraulic press, which I don't have. So a DIY job. It's on the drive. Well, that one's gone in pretty nice at the top, if you can see that. You know, still was hard to get in with that little groove cut on the top there. If you see, tiny little, not even a millimetre sort of cut there of that bush. It just gives it enough give to install reasonably easier for a DIY guy like me. So that's my top tip, and you can do this job on the drive without needing to take the wheels off. There we go.